Hello, folks. So that thing I was talking about in February that caused me to step away from production is still ongoing, but the good news is it should be almost done. I should be able to talk about it some more after this video is done in mid-April, but I just wanted to let viewers know what's keeping me. In the meantime, I was able to get most of the audio for this ranking done, and I feel like I should make this small preview to keep this channel active. I should be able to return to regular production soon, but until then, enjoy this sneak preview of my ranking of Disney's twist villains.
You're a fucking disappointment.
Yep. I think you all knew this was coming the moment you saw the thumbnail. I don't even think I need to do that much to explain how Dawn Bellwether is the bottom of the barrel of this trope. She might just be the most pathetic example of last-minute villains in a story I've ever seen. Except for the Star Child, but she's still pretty bad. There is absolutely zero indication that she's a villain at literally any point in the movie, to the point that her being the bad guy feels like a last-minute draft they threw into the script 2 weeks before the deadline. There is practically no redeeming value to her as a character, let alone as a villain. She's not scary, she's not sinister, she's not nefarious, she's not conniving, she's not funny, she just has nothing to work with. She's completely unlikable for all the wrong reasons, not the fun kind like several top-tier Disney villains. She is painstakingly boring and not entertaining to watch, and she's only a villain in a very tiny fraction of the film. She gets like 3, maybe 4 minutes to be a villain, and the rest of her screen time is just being this annoying adorkable secretary to Omni-Man. She does the whole "I'm gonna explain my plan instead of killing you immediately to show off how evil I am" bullshit, and is immediately caught afterwards. You know, at least in other instances of this trope, it doesn't result in the antagonist losing immediately after they do it. All she had to do was keep her mouth shut and just shoot Judy and Nick in the head. This retard is so fucking stupid that they didn't even have to do anything. She literally gets herself caught. Why did she follow them to the train station herself when she could have just sent her goons to do it? She could have just stayed at the office while commanding them over the phone or something to avoid suspicion. We don't even learn anything about her that would make her motivations interesting. She just doesn't like her boss, and that's it. I have seen Power Rangers villains that leave a stronger impression than her. Just like last time, it's impossible for me to rank her above any of the other villains because she doesn't have anything that makes her work. She easily takes the bottom spot on this list for being a nothing character and having zero presence as an antagonist. She doesn't hold a candle to any of the other twist villains in Disney's history for so many obvious reasons. She is a little entertaining in the sequel, but we're not counting that.
I'm you from the future. Ugh, I hate time travel.
I suppose I have to be fair towards Lightyear for having the decency to introduce its twist villain earlier than, I don't know, the last 6 minutes of the movie, but that's hardly anything worth crediting. You remember that thing they did in Toy Story 2 where they joked about Zurg actually being Buzz's long-lost father, which was basically just foreshadowing Disney's plans to butcher Star Wars? Honestly, that would have been more acceptable than what we actually got. In a lot of cases, the villain tends to be the best part of a Disney movie, even if the movie itself isn't good. But this is one of those rare cases where the villain isn't just bad, but they actually make the story worse. It's already ludicrous enough that they had to do some sort of time travel bullshit for an uninspiring twist that the villain is just a future version of the main character, but he's also completely uncompelling and operates on the most backwards logic. His motivation of wanting to remove everyone from the happy lives they built for themselves because he wants to feel like a hero correcting his mistake is ridiculous. And it doesn't even make sense, not just because of the possibility of causing a time paradox, but because it contradicts how smart he's supposed to be. There's so many instances where he can easily just kill off the heroes and eliminate any opposition to his plans, but just doesn't do that because the writers had to implement some sort of plot protection. He also doesn't have any of the iconic traits that other versions of Zurg are known for. He doesn't have the silly yet impressionable presence he had in Toy Story 2, nor does he have any of the commanding theatrics of the TV show version. He's just a dull, by-the-numbers bad guy, who spends his screen time meandering around and not doing anything to establish that he's some sort of conniving menace who's a genuine threat to the heroes. It doesn't even make sense in-universe for this to be the case because nothing in the movie up to this reveal indicates the possibility of alternate universes or time travel. It's just a lazy out that the writers come up with randomly to introduce this version of Buzz conveniently for the climax. It ruptures the stability of the overall plot, and it wasn't even worth it because of how painfully forgettable he ends up being. They could have at least made him more imposing and scary, just something of value to take away from this garbage movie, but they couldn't even do that. From a stupid motivation to a lame personality to no memorable lines of dialogue, Zurg in this movie is such a garbage villain, and just another excuse for Disney to force-feed this trope to people. Disney doing it was bad enough, but Pixar pulling this bullshit too is fucking insane. And sadly, it wasn't the only instance of them doing this.
I am going to hypnotize you. Stare deep into the illusion in the center of your screen.
Honestly, guys, What can I say about Evelyn Dever that hasn't already been said? Even if you think The Incredibles 2 is a good movie for whatever reason, you still can't defend how abysmal she is as the screenslaver. At least the twist villain from Cars 2, spoilers for later in the video I guess, was bad in a way that was actually kinda funny. Evelyn isn't even entertainingly bad. She's just trash. Everyone and their grandparents has ripped every single aspect of her to shreds. From the fact that her actions throughout the movie make no sense because they're counterintuitive to her end goal, to the fact she didn't have to do jack shit because supers being illegal was already a condition in the film's world, to her childishly blaming supers for the death of her parents when it was clearly the government's fault for making them illegal, to her being a dumbass parallel to how Intelligence Syndrome was, even going into the whole stupid monologue they openly mocked in the first film, to her plan only getting as far as it does because they had to artificially lower the IQ of the other characters, thus making her intimidation factor artificial, all the way up to her argument about people being over-reliant on supers making no sense because for the last 15 years, there were no supers for them to even look up to because they were illegal. And what makes it even more embarrassing is how at first, she's actually a pretty interesting villain with a compelling motivation. I really like the idea of a villain who tries to start a revolution by tearing down the foundation and status quo established by the media, using hypnotic screens as a clever way to establish how the general public have become complacent in being mindless retarded consumers who just eat up everything that's plastered on their theater screens and computer monitors and television sets. What a unique, original, and relevant villain we could have had for this movie. But no, the whole screenslaver thing was just a cover-up for her real goal. She doesn't care about modern media rotting the intelligence of the general public. She's just bitter that her father was too fucking stupid to put the Gazer Beam hotline in the safe room. It's one of those frustrating instances where the antagonist is a very layered character with a really thought-provoking philosophy, and then some random twist comes up and makes everything they said before completely pointless. From the get-go, it was painfully obvious that Evelyn would be ranking extremely low on this list, but that won't stop me from giving her another well-deserved ripping into. A villain that could have been good, but chose to be another shitty twist.